Hello everyone and welcome to another News Coolum video and another plug side chat. I wanted to talk a little bit about what actually sells electric vehicles. I know a lot of people criticize, say, like GM for not advertising. Tesla doesn't advertise at all, and yet they're leading in electric vehicle sales. So I think there's something to be learned from that. And before I really just accept that sort of myth about GM not advertising, I do want to say that no, I actually see a lot of advertisements for them, though they seem to be very targeted. But newspapers, billboards, and when I check the weather online, I'm seeing advertisements for the Bolt EV. So there are ads, but they're not necessarily effective in my opinion. We could go into a larger conversation about, say, GM's advertising in general, which I don't think is that great. But ultimately, in my opinion, advertising doesn't really sell electric vehicles. It might build awareness, but even then, the kind of technical understanding that you need about electric vehicles, just in terms of differentiating them from gas powered vehicles, that's not something that's really easy to distill and put into an advertisement. And even if you did that effectively, I don't know that it would actually sway that many people. But I'm a member of a local electric vehicle advocacy group in Ventura County. And one of the things that we like to do is during community get togethers, we typically have some sort of a car show where we actually encourage owners to bring their own electric vehicles and sort of showcase them to the public and let people see what these electric vehicles are. So during the 4th of July on Independence Day, we had a street fair in downtown Ventura, and a number of electric vehicle owners were showing off their cars. And really, truly, this is the most effective way to sell and promote electric vehicles, because people who normally aren't going to be swayed by salesmen or advertisements, they'll listen to their neighbors, their friends, their coworkers. They'll listen to people about their real world experiences with an electric vehicle. And I think it's a very effective tactic because it demystifies them and puts them in a very real light that these people can actually see. And they understand that, look, you're not trying to sell a car, you're just trying to explain your experiences. And I think it's very helpful, and you get a lot of positive responses from it. Obviously, there are still some negative people, but you have to sort of approach that as it is. You don't really want to try to convince someone. In my opinion, that's about the worst thing that you can do. Just explain to them the facts about what it's like to own an electric vehicle, and understand that everybody's situation might be different or unique. So essentially, you don't want to be preachy, but you also want to be able to present, valid facts, things that are useful to those individuals, and see what electric vehicles are options for them in their specific use case. And I've heard this said before, and it really does ring true when we have these sorts of events where the three big questions that people ask are how far, how fast, and how much. So essentially, how far can you go on a battery charge? How long is it going to take you to recharge? And how much is it going to cost you to buy the car? And those were questions that a lot of people asked. Now, I think that that conversation has been sort of twisted in a way that's designed to invalidate electric vehicles. But that's what you have to get over in order to speak to the average person about what an electric vehicle is and whether it would work for them. Because unfortunately, you have a lot of people that harp on, oh, it takes 9 or 10 hours to charge a Bolt EV. Well, that's one way of charging it. And I think that's maybe the mindset that people need to get over, is that there isn't just one way to charge an electric vehicle. And we're going to start seeing in years to come that more vehicles like Lightyear 1 that are actually a self-charging electric vehicle. And so in those cases, you're going to say, well, without it being even plugged in, it's going to, add about 3 miles an hour just sitting out in the sun, or plugged in, it might add 5 or 6 miles per hour, or plugged into a level two, it might add 30 or 35 or 40 miles per hour of charging. And then you can't really get away from the discussion about DC fast charging, because that's truly the area where people are concerned is, what if, right? What if I have to drive 200, 300, 400 miles? Uh, how am I going to be able to make that trip if it's longer than the range of the vehicle? So these are the types of questions you have to be able to answer, but a lot of them are nuanced, right? And a lot of them do need to be explained, but I would urge people to stick to what your personal experiences are and explain these things in real world terms. We did provide handouts during the event, like this fueling chart, where it does go through the different times that you might need to spend charging, and based on different formats. But even then, it becomes hard to explain. So on level two charging, it says, oh, an hour to add 25 miles of charging. Well, in my Bolt EV, I'm adding 30 or 35. Well, that's maybe because you're driving around town, you're more efficient. We really should focus on, what are your EPA rated miles and how much those you would add in an hour. The same is true for DC fast charging, where the standards vary widely. And I've noticed a lot of the materials were even out of date. When I explained it to people, I was saying, well, for me in the Bolt EV, I'm adding about half of a battery in 30 minutes. So whatever your fuel economy is at the time, if you're getting 200 miles per charge or 250 miles per charge, adding half of a battery in 30 minutes, uh, that's going to give you an idea of how much farther you can go. But I also do explain, but look, after 70, 75% battery, it's going to take you another hour just to fill the rest of the battery up. But yeah, it's just these real world stories from actual owners that I think is convincing people. I put up a bunch of pictures of my different adventures in the Bolt EV, and I had people just looking at the pictures on my car, having side conversations. It's not even about the car anymore. It's about going to Lowell Observatory or visiting Bryce Canyon. And it just happens that the catalyst for that conversation was an electric vehicle. Just these conversations is what's going to increase electric vehicle adoption. I know several coworkers who bought plug-in vehicles likely because of conversations with me, and I don't take it too seriously. If I cancel a trip or don't go someplace, they say, "Oh, what, you couldn't do it in your electric car?" And I said, "Well, no, I realized my extension cord wasn't long enough." And then everybody laughs and we move on. But it's a constant sort of topic of conversation. It's things people are aware of and they know what their options are now. I have a friend who's now looking at replacing his Civic Si with a Tesla Model 3, because I drove him and another friend to Costa Mesa and back in my Bolt EV. They were surprised that I could do it without having to stop to refuel. And they were so impressed by the experience that they're like, wait a minute, that sort of breaks the paradigm that we were expecting from an electric vehicle. So these sort of real world experiences, these ride alongs, these are very powerful things. And really, I would encourage it outside of California, maybe even more than inside California, because here, so many people already have electric vehicles. You're likely to know at least two or three people who have a plug-in vehicle. But if you live in Idaho or Illinois or some other state that starts with an I, right? You might not have the same number of electric vehicles, and so it's even more important for you to maybe showcase your electric vehicle, start an advocacy group, or go to fairs or community get-togethers and showcase these cars and answer questions, and make sure it's all electric vehicles, not just Teslas, not just Bolt EVs, not just Nissan Leafs, but everybody together showing these are the different experiences you can have. That's how we increase electric vehicle adoption. It's really a grassroots effort. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you think. Do you do this sort of community type promotion? Do you talk to your neighbors, your friends, your coworkers about electric vehicles, your experiences? Do you share basically outside of the electric vehicle community? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and thank you for watching.